And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft, and let's continue with some of our coverage of the Trump shooting investigation, almost 2 months removed since that infamous day on the field there in Butler, Pennsylvania, on that campaign rally site. In the meantime, our friend Fox's C.B. Cotton has the latest. Let's listen.
It's the difference between day and night. When you're actually here on this surface.
A bipartisan congressional task force searching for answers in Butler, Pennsylvania. Members walking the area where former President Donald Trump was nearly assassinated and getting up on the unsecured roof used by the 20-year-old suspected gunman. 6 weeks later, and there's still no motive. Lawmakers won't say whether Crook's family may have the answers.
We're not going to comment right now about specifically who we are going to talk to.
So far, at least 5 Secret Service agents have been removed from protective detail and placed on administrative duties. Lawmakers demand further accountability, but Chairman Mike Kelly and Ranking Member Jason Crow stopped short today of saying exactly who should be held accountable.
None of us are looking at it as we have to get a quick answer. We're looking at we have to get the right answer.
Other Republicans who are not part of today's visit say they're doing their own digging.
I think that criminal gross negligence and purposeful intent will be indistinguishable. There's a lot of things that we can point to as critical failures.
But the House task force is reminding the public it's the go-to for the investigation.
This is the committee that will have the ability to subpoena records. If there is any moment where we feel we are not getting full and complete transparency, that is exactly what we will do.
The task force is expected to produce a report on its findings by December, but Chairman Crow says the group is weighing whether to do interim reports. The FBI is conducting its own investigation that could bring criminal charges. In Butler, Pennsylvania, I'm C.B. Cotton, Fox News.
CB, thanks so much. In the meantime here, let's bring into the conversation our friend Bill Gage there at Safe Haven Security Group. I know you have a lot of questions. I do as well, and Bill joins me. Bill, good to see you. Hope you had a good weekend here. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, thanks,
and I'm going to ask you this. Yeah, thanks, Bill. I'm going to ask you this. Are there too many cooks in the investigative kitchen right now when it comes to finding out what happened, what went into some of the security failures there in Butler, PA on July the 13th? I mean, you just heard from these members of Congress that comprise this bipartisan task force that they are the go-to, that they have the subpoena power to subpoena documents, to subpoena interviews and witness testimony here. So does the buck stop with them? Because you heard there from Jason Crow that some of their other colleagues in both the House and the Senate are conducting unilaterally their own types of probes and investigations here. Do you worry that the messages with whatever is gleaned from the end of these interviews and the ends of these probes here, the conclusion of them, that it will be muddied if there are so many potential conclusions, that not one specific one will be drawn from this task force alone here? Do you worry about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew, and great question. And, you know, I hate to burst the members of Congress bubble there that are on that committee. I know that they mean well. And frankly, it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air to have Republicans and Democrats behind the same microphone, seemingly in agreement, taking a trip together. So frankly, as an American, that's kind of refreshing. But I hate to burst their bubble. The investigation that's going to have primacy here is going to be the FBI criminal investigation. You know, we cannot forget, I keep stressing this on different outlets, Andrew, that law enforcement took someone's life here, all right? And we have procedures in this country for that when law enforcement in the line of duty kills somebody, all right? And that criminal, there's always a criminal investigation when that happens. And that's going to be the primary investigation here. I understand Congress wants answers. The public wants answers. But that criminal investigation on the taking of life by law enforcement, I'm really sorry to the Congress people, but that investigation is absolutely going to be the primary investigation. And listen, there's so many committees. You know, I think there's a Senate committee, a House committee. There's different committees, and for them to get up there and say that we are the primary investigative arm, I just don't think it's very disingenuous and just not accurate. And you know, for them to skip over again this criminal investigation that the FBI is going to be undertaking on the use of force by the Secret Service counter sniper, it just shows how short-sighted sometimes Congress people can be.
Okay.
And I just want to touch on something too, Andrew. Listen, I'm an American, I have a lot of respect for members of Congress, but there was a lot of political chest thumping there and pearl clutching. And listen, I understand you might have been an emergency manager or you might have been an Army Ranger. Thank you for your military service. I'm very appreciative. But these protective operations are very, very complex, especially a large outdoor rally like in Pennsylvania. A lot of moving parts there. And so until you've done that kind of work, you just don't understand all of the complexities that go into the planning, the actual execution of the plan.
I see.
So until you understand, until you've actually done that kind of work, it's very difficult. And I hate to use a cliche here, Andrew, but it's kind of hard to throw stones, right, at a glass house when you've never done that kind of work.
I see. Bill, though, are you worried that because there are so many competing probes, and you heard there from members of this bipartisan task force that they think their probe is the preeminent one here that does take primacy. You alluded to the fact that the FBI is the lead on the criminal aspect of this. Laurel Lee, a member of the task force, Republican from Florida, said they've spoken to the FBI, they've spoken to the Secret Service, they have spoken to state and local officers here, also witnesses as well, and they're going to do that throughout the duration of their investigation here. But do you worry that all of these competing probes will draw different conclusions? I mean, remember, in the wake of the JFK assassination, you had the Warren Commission, and that was somewhat definitive until it wasn't, because so many conspiracy theories arose out of it. But even the 9/11 Commission, you could make the argument, was the definitive answer or compilation of how something like 9/11 could have happened here. Are we going to get that with all of these investigations or not? Or will different conclusions be drawn?
I think different conclusions will be drawn.
Okay.
You know, the two big questions, Andrew, are going to be the how and the why.
Yeah.
We're probably never going to understand the why. You know, you mentioned the 9/11 Commission. Very easy, right? Al-Qaeda hated America. That's why they undertook that attack. We may never know why Crooks did this. We know a little bit of he's very reclusive, apparently didn't post a lot on social media, had minimal friends. So we may never truly know why he did it. Now, the how we can draw conclusions from. And I do worry with all the different commissions that you've mentioned that they're all going to come up with different conclusions. And it's definitely a huge worry and a big possibility that each one of these commissions, one faults the Secret Service planning, another faults the staff because the staff didn't listen to concerns from the Secret Service. So with so many hands in the cookie jar, there absolutely is a possibility of that happening.
Yeah, I mean, what speaks to my point right now is that in Washington, D.C. today, sponsored by the Heritage Foundation, there was a forum of individuals and some conservative personalities talking about this very story, the Trump assassination attempt and the investigations that have proceeded from it here. Corey Mills, the representative from Florida, the Republican, he caught up with Fox today. He was a panelist at this forum there in D.C. He said this, Bill, that the group of lawmakers plans to hold more events like the one today. This is not the bipartisan task force that we just watched. He said they already have witnesses for another one as well, though he declined to name who those witnesses were there to Fox. He also said this, Bill, that he was frustrated with the selection process by Speaker of the House Mike Johnson of who comprises the task force as well. He also said the task force's planned timeline of releasing a report in December is not fast enough. Now, you heard members there in Butler, PA today say, Bill, that this is going to be a methodical process, a laborious process, that their work is going to take a long time. Investigations take a long time. But some of their colleagues on the Hill from their own party are saying it's not fast enough. What would you say to them?
I would tell them to buckle up because it's going to be a while, Andrew. A lot of moving parts went into the planning of this event. There's so many unknowns that are going to have to be run down. My understanding is the FBI is still trying to get into his phone. That they still have got to speak with family members. There's voluminous documents that the Secret Service produces as a result of an event like this. Hundreds, if not thousands, of emails. Multiple agents, probably 200, 300, maybe 400 agents might have had their hand in this event, from the director on down. Each one of those people have to be interviewed. You look how long the 9/11 Commission took. Those things, I believe the 9/11 Commission took 18 months, 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've researched that, but these things take time. And if you rush these investigations, Andrew, you're going to miss critical parts. It's not going to be very thorough. And these type investigations, they have to run out. Every single stone has to be turned over.
Okay.
Every single witness has to be interviewed. So if somebody's throwing out a December timeline, Andrew, that is just not possible to do a thorough investigation for this event.
Yeah, I think Corey Mills was alluding to the fact he'd like to see a report sooner than December. I mean, the task force has outlined a possible timeline that December they could issue their final report. Some Republican lawmakers say that's not fast enough, clearly here. Bill, you have a Secret Service background here. And when you talk about what documents or what witness testimony this bipartisan task force can subpoena to get information here, from the Secret Service's standpoint, and maybe, the task force doesn't need to use subpoenas because it will be offered voluntarily here. But what would you like to see subpoenaed? What information, what conversations, what communications at the Secret Service level do you want to see?
Yeah, I think when I was on your show previously, you asked me, hey, what's one question you have? And one of the big questions I have, Andrew, is what specifically were the local law enforcement counterparts told as far as what their responsibilities were, what their missions were, what their assignments were for that day? Sometimes some local law enforcement, we typically, in the Secret Service, when I was there, we would typically give them sort of no-go entry posts where it was absolutely no one was allowed through. Was it observation only? So I would like to know specifically what were the local counterparts told, and even more specifically, that local tactical team that actually was able to take pictures of crooks, that were positioned in a way they were able to see him and confront him. So what was their mission? So for me, I think that's where some of the breakdown occurred. And I've talked about this in other outlets, Andrew. I believe I talked it on your show. I don't think there was one sort of failure here. I think there was several concurring at the same time. I think there were several sort of lapses in security, lapses in communication that were happening simultaneously.
I see.
That sort of culminated in crooks being able to access the roof, bring a rifle. And I think one big part of that is going to be what were the locals told. I really think that there was some miscommunication there between the site and the advance agents and the local law enforcement.
So, Bill, let's talk about accountability. Just lastly, Crooks is dead. He was killed mere seconds after he fired 8 shots. We know the Secret Service director at the time, Kimberly Cheadle, she has since resigned her post. On Friday, we brought our viewers the news that at least 5 Secret Service officials there have resigned, 1 from Trump's personal protective detail, and 4 there in the Pittsburgh field office, and that's at least 5. I want to reiterate that point. So when you talk about accountability, members of the bipartisan task force were asked about who they will hold accountable when their report is released, and they couldn't really give an answer. Is there anyone left to hold accountable? I mean, is that part of getting these answers or not? Do you anticipate more Secret Service agents to be put on administrative leave, like the 5 of them that were on Friday?
Well, Andrew, when you say accountable, do you mean fired? Do you mean criminally charged? So those are 2 different things.
Sure.
It's very, very difficult. Listen, I'm going to be apolitical here, but, it's one of the things that is outlined in the Project 2025 is to redo the schedule so it's easier to dismiss federal employees. But as it stands now, it's almost impossible to fire a federal employee, Andrew. And so these agents, they have civil service protections, and people can federal employees can appeal their termination or forced resignation. They can appeal those all the way up to what's called the Merit Promotions Board. And those, to get up to that board, that can take 2 or 3 years. So it's not as simple as just firing somebody. It could take a very long time. And again, as I mentioned earlier, for Congress to say, when they were hammering and peppering Director Rowe with these questions, have you fired anybody? It's not that simple. These agents have civil service protections. And frankly, we don't quite know yet, if they did anything wrong.
Sure.
So, and it's going to take some time. So I know people think, oh, you messed up, you need to be fired, you need to be terminated, but it's not that simple in this case.
Okay.
So, and then to criminally charge them, Andrew, I think is a serious leap. Unless there's some information out there that we're not very privy to, where there was clear gross negligence. I just think to be even talking about criminal charges for any of these agents, I think, frankly, just at this juncture in the investigation is just wrong, Andrew.
Okay. So these 5 agents who were put on administrative leave on Friday, you texted me offline on Friday, and you said essentially, and I'm paraphrasing here, that you hadn't seen anything like that ever. What did you mean by that?
I just meant in all my time in the Secret Service, I hadn't seen that many agents besides the Columbia investigation who were put on leave. There were multiple agents put on leave after the Columbia investigation or the Columbia incident, I should say. So what I meant by that is, I was, in my time in the Secret Service, I probably worked several thousand events, many just like the one in Butler, Pennsylvania, and things would go wrong. Sometimes, and there's video out there, I believe Obama's limo in Ireland, I think, couldn't fit into the parking garage or bottomed out in the parking garage. Those kind of things happen. And typically you don't discipline the agent, the advance agent or the site agent or even the driver when that happens. You don't discipline or put them on leave. So, yeah, what I meant when I was talking to you about that was that, I haven't seen such a wide scale sort of suspension or relieved of duty of that many agents related to something that went wrong during a protective mission. So like I said, no site's perfect. These kind of things would happen, obviously not to the scale of bullets flying like there was in Pennsylvania, but things would happen. The advance agent would the fire alarm would go off in the middle of an event, and that would be embarrassing. They forgot to disable the fire alarm, and the Secret Service just doesn't do that routinely. Just doesn't suspend agents.
All right, Bill Gage, as always, can't thank you enough. I think this insight and analysis is really, really something here for viewers who don't know how these investigations go, who don't know the background, the protocol, the procedures here. Bill, can't thank you enough. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Andrew.